All right, so welcome back to Shadowrun, out of Nest and on Edge after, 2 months. Feels like at least 2 months. It's been a while. But we're finally here for Whiskey's contact, Alistair's special job protecting a politician by the name of Maximilian Doyle Connors Parson, or just uh, Parson for short. Actually, what is the political position? He's a municipal politician, right? Or is he?
Yes, I believe so. Or maybe we're going up for city council, something along those lines.
Okay, so I don't know what the British equivalent is, but Councillor Parson, Councillor.
Yeah, I think so.
There's another word. Aldersman Parson, something like that. We'll just go Mr. Parson, just to make it simple. And Frosty, because we haven't finished your character, you will be Mr. Parson, if that is all right with you for now. We'll try and work something out for next week.
Maximilian Doyle Parson something.
Right. And so the full details haven't really been quite worked out yet, but somehow Alistair ingratiated himself with this politician at around the same time that a threat to his life has become apparent. And Alistair contacted Whiskey and wanted to make sure that without revealing the fact that, Alistair has friends in the shadows, wanted to have those friends in the shadows do a bit of a protection detail for the good Mr. Parson, sorry, not plural. While Alistair tries to figure out who did this contract and also cancel this contract. He, of course, would mind having some assistance in that aspect of the job. Kara, you're typing something? Grim says, I'm only doing this as a favor. Is that a favor in regards to the fun parties you had with Alistair, or because Alistair is an up-and-coming politician himself? A bit of both, she says. Okay.
But like I said, it was in BBM when the mission first came up in the mission channel. Start up, but it
Can
doesn't
find the
look
mission channel.
Yes, I do believe so.
In the missions channel, there's no mention of budget as far as I can see here.
I think it was when this thing very first came up, so you might need to roll
Oh,
up
yeah. Okay, here we go. Whiskey knows somebody who wants to hire a team for some, quote, proactive protection, unquote, on an assassination target. Payment is estimated around 12,500 new yen, but there are other perks with saving the life of a politician. Wink, wink. It's unknown which assassin or assassins took the contract so far, but the idea is to send a message to the shadows that the contract isn't worth cashing in on by making an example out of whatever wet workers are already making their moves. So the basic job then is protection of the politician, tracking down who these assassin or assassins are that are going to make a move on his life, and then sending a message to the shadows that this contract is not worth the time, money, blood, sweat, bullets, knives, whatever. It's just not worth it. Whether you want to make bodies to send that message, or if you'd rather be a little more polite with the way you send that message, is up to you.
Do you mean a little bit more political about it?
Ha ha But yeah, basically, Alistair would have sent that information to Whiskey. Whiskey, in turn, would be relaying this information to the rest of you in her own way.
Oh, indeed.
So we had interest from Pirate, naturally, because Whiskey's involved. Grim, naturally, because Whiskey and Alistair are involved, and, well, she's a little involved with them. West End Mike, because this is much more his speed than that whole thing with hunting down a psycho that the mysterious Bishojo showed up for. And Prodigy and Sybil both seem interested in this job. Dun dun dun. And we might have an additional individual joining in with possibly trying to stop the other assassins, I guess, with Frosty's new character. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
And this job starts on the 24th?
It starts on the same day that the other job was taking place. So I think the 24th? I think the 24th is when your other team actually got Magork and Dragon, right?
I have no clue on that one.
Yeah, I don't keep track of the dates.
So. I think it was.
Yeah, so basically you have to finish this job by the 24th. So I think you've basically got like 9 days prior. So was it 9? Yeah, I think 9. So the 15th. So this job's starting on the 15th, April 15th of 2076.
All right.
Okie doke.
So, in that case,
No, it can't be the 15th. That was the day we actually went and saved the what's his name from the hole that he got himself into, literally.
Right, so it would have been a day after, because the day after is when they showed up at Athena's house. So it would be the 16th then, not the... Okay. So if the mage in a hole was on the 15th, this starts on the 16th.
All right. Yes, that was definitely on the 15th. All right.
Thank you for correcting that. Okay, so great. So I guess you're all at Whiskey's bar, or well, those of you who want to physically be at the bar. I don't know if Prodigy and Sybil are going to be physically there.
Sybil will be going.
Prodigy would not.
So is Prodigy showing up in his persona?
Sure.
So that really creepy, smiling god, quote unquote.
What?
The white boy.
The white boy actually is more
What?
apt than you imagine.
I also gotta remember to press the talk to, yeah. Press the talk button.
Push to talk, yes.
But a god is showing up? What?
I'll have to copy address. Does that work? It does work. Shadowrun in the chat. That's the face. That's the persona.
Creepy.
Okay, but how would that appear? Is that magic or something?
No. In AR and VR is where he would be appearing for this conversation.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so he's not going to be physically here at all. It's just this persona.
Exactly.
Probably goes unnoticed then.
Yeah, Whiskey probably won't notice, but, you know, West End Mike and Sybil, I imagine, would have their AR active. Grim, I don't know if she cares, and Pirate, would you bother having your AR active, or is that not really...
Not really. She only really has her AR, and that's when she actually needs to eat. Otherwise, she just rather see with her own eyes.
Or her astral eye.
Yeah.
Well, considering Sybil's going to be there, you'll have to have it up. You will have to have it up to get messages from her.
If you want to actually listen to Sybil, you will have to have an active AR line.
Well, Pirate does not want to listen to Sybil.
That is a point.
That is true. After the whole thing that happened, yeah. Okay, so Pirate, bear in mind that whatever Sybil quote unquote says, you are ignoring.
Well, I guess it is. It would be the most polite way to phrase that. Yeah.
But Whiskey, something else you will be able to inform them of is that your buddy, you're not naming names, even though Grim already knows for sure who it is. I don't know if anybody else has figured it out. Alistair.
Pirate might have guessed it.
Yeah. Is also basically set up a meeting with the bodyguard of Parson, a fellow by the name of... Where is my tokens? This is quite the name here. Lawrence Archibald Haversmith. No, I may as well just drop that token down.
Hammersmith as well?
Havers.
He's fine in the bar then.
But no, he won't be coming to the bar.
So Hammersmith is not coming to the Hammersmith.
Haversmith, not Hammer.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so that's what he looks like.
Yuki duck.
So where will we be meeting? Will this be over the phone?
He'll actually meet you at Max Parsons' penthouse suite.
All right. Some of us should have clothes for that.
I mean,
Oh well, then
but
Whiskey
they're
does
still nice
put on
clothes.
her nice suit, since she has one.
I would try to dress nicely as well.
Well, before you go off to do that, do any of you want to ask Whiskey any questions or do anything at the bar prior to going to meet the...
Well, you all got a drink, of course, if you want one.
Club soda for me.
Pirate was gonna ask, so I've been wanting to ask this, Whiskey. Is this like a short-term fling like you always have, or are you thinking that this is gonna be more long-term?
You sound a bit critical of my dating habits there, sissy.
Well, I'm mostly curious because this is like probably the cleanest guy you've slept with.
By the way, Grim says, yeah, what's this whole job again? And a whiskey. I mean drink. Right now.
Oh, so yeah, we're doing some protection work for a friend of a friend, as it were. Also, but as for me being dirty, I like to get down and dirty. So screw me, I suppose. As for
That's
long term,
not the fo-
me and Alistair have been knowing each other, me and my friend have been knowing each other for quite a long while, I think, now.
So at this point, you all now know it's Alistair.
They know it's a Alistair, but they might not know who this Alistair is.
Yeah, like for West End Mike, that name means nothing unless it shows up on a Google search.
Well, here's the quickly thing. Alistair, politician, London.
Well, that's what I mean. You know, if you type those into Google or the Shadowrun equivalent of Google and it shows up, well, then obviously he now knows. If it doesn't, well, then he doesn't.
Well, do you want to do a data search?
Sure.
That is, Sybil's doing one as well.
Prodigy, you're going to data search as well?
I can. Did anyone want me to though?
Well, for yourself, you know. You're a nosy teen.
Just gonna make sure that it's the number I think it is.
So Sybil's already taking a little bit of stun damage. For shame. Really? That's your entire data search?
I don't think you're actually supposed to add the stat to it unless that's house ruled in.
Yeah, no. The way I run it is that the dice pools for computers and such will use the skill plus the software.
Yeah, well, I have 3 ratings in the skill and 4 ratings and 4 ranks in the software. I didn't spring for a high-end browse utility. I think I
Okay.
should have.
And the attribute as well? That included your attribute?
Oh, no. If I add the attribute, that bumps it up a few more dice.
Okay, yeah. So it's the skill including the attribute, not just
Okay.
the skill rating.
Okay, so
Yeah, that would get me another 3 dice.
I get my 9 plus my 3
4 dice, rather.
for rating 3. And then
Oh.
do I get my analytical mind?
Yeah, I think Prodigy used your analytical mind.
Yep.
Yeah, so then you can have yours as well, Sybil.
So that's 13. Do I get any bonus for being a Technomancer and AR?
No,
I'm
no
guessing.
bonus there.
13.
No, let's sigh.
So, looks like you guys probably found his birth certificate.
A prodigy
Okay.
at least did.
Well, Sybil, just with the basic information, you will find that his name is Alistair Ingram. He's basically a campaigner, and a politician's admin for the party, not for any individual politician. And theirs is a progressive left-leaning political group that is true to the crown, but also is trying to push for further deregulation of personal arms and personal drug use, because they believe it should be the individual's choice about whether or not they want to self-medicate, and an individual should be able to defend themselves in these difficult times. Of course, you still need to have a license, but firearms should be an acceptable thing. After all, the United Canadian American States have weapons like that, and they seem to be doing fairly well for themselves as long as you ignore Seattle.
Okay, I have my proper licensing. I'll take those 2 M16s on the wall right there.
Maybe not that far gone yet, but at the very least, they're pro self-defense, pro self-regulated drug use, very left-leaning compared to the party that's in power right now. But they are also somewhat in an alliance with that political group just because they resisted the Lord Protector.
Okay. So he's probably
Quite
going
well
more
summed
like-
up there, VT.
Thank
So
you.
he's
And-
probably aiming more for like pistols and hold up pistols and concealed carry permits then.
Yeah, concealed carry. I think that would be the thing he's finagling for. His party is finagling for. He is not a face of that party, but he is involved with. Okay, face. He is a face. He's just not running for a position. So he's the guy who will be on the phones or in front of the camera for small things?
Yeah, or but like if the community, if the community house has a meeting, a neighborhood meeting or something, he will be there. That type of thing.
And, going door to door, he would make sure that he hits the more difficult places because he's just that much better at handling it.
So like say the local news, he would be kind of showing up. But if it's like a national news thing or interview, it'd be a more important person of the party.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Mike's going, what is wrong with this thing?
Well,
Sybil
Mike,
takes it from him.
Mike, I think you're just not bothering right now. You're just kind of like, no, I'll do it later.
Sybil
You
takes
to actually have his name, politician, and London, all of those are heavily misspelled.
And then Sybil sends me what she's got, and I now know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just basically gonna take it, take your comm link, make sure it was working fine, and just hand it back to you, and then send it to you.
That's what I figured.
Meanwhile, Prodigy, are you sending this as a care package to any of the other runners, or are you just holding this close to the chest for now?
Well, is everyone else explaining what they got?
I don't know, Sybil, are you sending anything to Prodigy, or...
I'm sending it to Pirate, who's not gonna bother looking at it. Whiskey, although she obviously knows, and Grim.
But not
He
Prodigy.
She actually has you set up for her spam folder. She has the spam set to auto delete.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, if Pirate's in any danger, don't bother sending anything to
Whiskey would
Pirate.
probably be spouting a few curses after receiving that package. Like, fuck it up,
The one more additional fact that Prodigy will uncover is that Alistair is actually an orc. He looks human. He doesn't have pointed ears, his tusks are filed off, but genetically speaking, he is an orc.
He's just one of the prettiest orcs ever.
Well, he's beautified himself, basically. So he knew he'd fit in better as a politician if he looked human.
Yeah. Yes, and if Prodigy sends an info package, he would actually get a reply from Pirate being like, "Oh, thank you, Prodigy. You're so kind."
Well, let's ask Twister, Prodigy, are you actually sending this information to anyone?
Does it look like anyone actually wanted the information though?
No one requested it, no.
No one requested it, but it's nice to have so everyone's on board with everything they know so far.
The question is, does Prodigy want to proactively share information, or does he just want to hoard it and then dole it out when someone asks?
Well, it would make him look very smart if someone's like, "What is he even like?" He's like, "Well, he's an orc." And he's like, "What?"
Well, here's the thing
But-
though, you can show up Sybil.
He
doesn't know
that.
he's
Than
showing
Sybil
Sybil.
did.
He has absolutely no idea how much Sybil has.
Yeah, because Sybil didn't share it with Prodigy.
That's the thing, is that if Sybil
Ah.
shared a Prodigy would be like, "Oh, actually, I'm gonna fill in some holes."
Okay.
But that's specifically why I asked. He'd probably have like a facial expression of like a little bit of surprise, but unless during the conversation, during his search, the conversation didn't move on. Sorry, if the conversation moved on while he was searching, he wouldn't bring it back up. But he'd probably like make an offhand comment, being like, "Oh, well, that's interesting about him." And if nobody commented, he wouldn't make himself center of attention.
So did anyone want to actively pursue investigating Alistair, or do you guys want to start investigating your actual job person, Max Parson? Or did you want to discuss anything else?
I think moving on would be fine.
Honestly, I would say Pirate would ask Prodigy in secret for information on the guy, just so she has more information on her sister's boyfriend, honestly.
Yeah, let me check that for you.
Yeah.
Prodigy, can you give a background check on the guy my sister's boning?
Can I do
Considering
background
the
information on
history...
What?
Considering the... You wouldn't phrase it like that,
No.
but...
Which
But
which
considering
one?
considering the people she's known to have hang out with, she would just want to be just a protective sister and just go like, does he have anything that Prodigy may be able to pick up that may worry me? The safety of my sister?
Frankly, he looks like a stand-up fellow, even if his views are a little bit leaning towards the left, almost anarchist level. But as far as anarchy goes, he's as straight-laced and well-suited as you can get.
As for what you're asking, Grim,
Oh, right, sorry. So Grim says, so, what do you want me to do? Just be a bodyguard?
well, what I'm thinking is we do take a bit of an active approach to this. I doubt this guy will be liking us standing around him all day and night. Nor would I really like to stand around him all day and night. Ugh, I'm likely to punch him myself if that happened. So I figure we take once we find out who are likely going to come after him, we instead go find them rather than have them find us.
I can... I was going to speak up. I can provide some 24-hour protection over him, but it's not going to be all-around protection, but at least something in case something attacks him from the astral realm or spiritually. I could put some safeguards up.
Well, we'd need to talk to them about that, find out, you know, they may already have a security mage on retainer, so... But, basically it sounds like they've probably got close protection covered. Our job is to make sure that those bodyguards don't have to do anything.
Well, yeah, and if we are going to be chatting with the actual security and the guy, we need, I think, some kind of cover story, since I don't think they want to know our profession or background too much, as it were.
Private security detail.
Alright, but maybe we would need to have some kind of, you know, at least a flimsy bit of a cover, like a job page or something. You know that we are a business and not, well, what we are.
I could also provide some matrix protection.
Yeah. But yeah, it's same with the magic. We might want to see what he has on hand first before we see about layering it or doing anything else.
Honestly-
Says, we are, you mean cops? I tease. None of you would make it in the academy.
You do bring up a point, though. You could be a very good spokesperson here, Grim. I mean, you could say that you're doing this on police business.
Out of character, Grim would know if she put this as an official job, that would have some pros and cons. Pro, you might be able to flush out the assassins. Con, that probably will piss off the Johnson because he's hiring people outside of professional security. You know, your Johnson's hiring you specifically so he doesn't have to go to the cops or CorpSec or private security. And Grim responds with, I'm off duty. This is a personal job.
Yeah, fair enough, but at least if we do get caught, you got an excuse for things.
I think basically we've been hired by someone connected to Max Parson, so I don't think they're likely to ask too many questions. Other than that, I'm sure we can handle anything. that they'll throw at us that way. I think what we need to do is, unless anybody's got any information on either of these people, Max or the guy we're supposed to meet with, we might as well go ahead and him.
Well, out of character, Prodigy, for your role on Max Parson, you will find that he is a aldersman for London. It's got quite a bit of political sway. I don't actually have my map up right now, but one of the affluential parts of town that isn't the most affluential. So he's in charge one of the nice districts. He's been elected and re-elected multiple times, but he's been at it a long time, really, for such a young fella. Frosty, do you remember how old we said he was?
I think we talked about it. Let me think. It was... I can't remember right now.
About 55, according to my notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
So yeah, he's been in politics at least 30 years. So since he's been 25 years old. He hasn't been, in his position for 30 years, but he's been in politics for 30 years. But he rose to power pretty quickly. He's an elf, but he's the kind of elf that looks just human enough that, the average Joe can trust him. Even though it's not really the average Joe he's representing. He's representing the average plus Joe. He's also part of the left-leaning party, but not the same one that Alistair's in. His is the party currently in power in London, the one that backed the current monarch during the transition with the Lord Protector. But before that, his political allegiance was to the same party that the Lord Protector was in. He basically jumped ship just at the right time to keep his cushy job.
Almost like he knew which way the winds were blowing before anyone else did.
Exactly, yep. And he's pretty shrewd by the looks of it. He's held on by not a landslide, but enough, so he seems to be able to pull the right strings and shake the right hands and kiss the correct babies, as it were. And, there's tabloid news about him, but nothing substantiated. It's all your typical, mudslinging that you see during election periods. Some people saying he's too soft on this or too hard on that kind of nonsense. Meanwhile, Lawrence Archibald Haversmith, with a hit of 10 hits, you will discover he has a criminal record for multiple aggravated assaults, some drug possession, pretty much everything he's been brought up on charges for, he has gotten off, except for one of the aggravated assaults, which he spent community service time for, but that was many years ago. By the looks of it, he's a thug, but he's a thug who cleans up well. Any other questions, Twister?
Any family?
Parsons' family is, he's got a sister overseas. Well, no, actually, you know what? You did get enough hits for that. So,
7? Okay.
yeah, you won't get any additional information on Parson. But for Haversmith, well, no, yeah, you have to do a separate roll, I think, looking into family.
So, yeah, secondary rules for everyone then.
Well, for those who are into the computer stuff.
Yeah.
And also wondering the same question. Do you want me just to roll the same thing for both, or just not? Roll per person.
It's your call. If you're going to spend the time doing the research, you're spending the time doing the research. Oh, no, sorry, like for each of them. So
Oh,
we'll say that's Haversmith first,
yes.
and
Yes,
then
that's
Parson for the next one. Okay, so Haversmith does indeed have a family, but they don't go by that name. Basically, he legally changed his name, but they also adjusted all his criminal records to reflect that name. But his old alias was also on his permanent record, so backtracking through that family name, you'll see that he actually comes from a pretty sizable family that lives in the Cockney part of town, the Dogs. Just
Close
looks
by
like-
then.
Yeah, close by. Looks like your typical lowlifes and blue-collar worker family sort of thing. They aren't really in contact with him according to Facebook-style public accounts, but maybe he has an account under a different name. But from what you can see just doing a cursory search, no contact with him and his family these days. Meanwhile, for Parson, he does have a sister over in the Confederate American States, and she apparently works as a what's the word? Someone who a park ranger. She works as a park ranger.
They still
Park
have
rangers
those?
federal employees?
Sorry, what was that, Twister?
Are park rangers federal employees?
Generally,
I
yes.
believe they are, yes. That or
Okay.
at least state employees.
Okay,
Yeah. The government position.
that's what I was wondering.
But again, Parson and her don't really have any contact, and Parson's parents are dead, deceased of natural causes years ago.
Was he? I'm guessing he was born into money then.
Yeah, look pretty decent. I mean, he was upper middle class, but he's elevated himself to pretty much, he's one step away from getting into the upper echelons, as it
So
were.
he's lower upper class.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it.
Alright. If we have like a group chat, because Prodigy prefers that we have a group chat, he probably would like make a small tab and have like a profiles tab. and have
Dossiers.
dossiers within those tabs. Like titles.
So there's like the general chat, and then there's like some information tabs
kind of
connected
like
to it.
BBM,
Who's this
but
prodigy?
it automatically opens up into just.
Who's this prodigy fellow that keeps that's sending these chats? Is that your Sybil?
How
Sybil
could she
shakes
see
her
that,
head.
but not see Prodigy?
He's a tech kid who's a bit better and smarter at it than Sybil is.
Oh, he was the kid that we met at the house.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay, that makes sense now.
Finger gun.
Oh, if
Been
you're talking
listening
about
in,
that
has he?
solar station at his- No, if you're talking about that solar station in the house, that's not canon, so that never happened.
Yeah, okay, well then, I guess scrap that last comment.
Well,
Ah.
if you guys ever got a log to me, I would be able to check it, but I never got a log.
I have a log of the rolls and stuff, but y'all did voice chats. There's no log of what was said and done outside of rolls.
I was supposed to record that and didn't hit record.
Okay, well, we can try and figure that out later on if anyone wants to try and remember, and maybe we should make a BBM chat where you can all just add your memories together. But for now, you've got dossiers going on 3 of these people now. You've talked about what you want to do as various roles, offering astral, digital, and physical protection, and try and track down the assassins and preemptively stop them. Whiskey recommended to Grim that maybe she keeps the police, on hold just in case she needs to call in some backup, if I understood correctly.
Well, no, it was more actually that she is suggesting that, if they ask, alright, who do you work for? Why are you investigating this? That they could use the excuse, oh, we're police.
Oh, okay. So, okay, that's another idea as well.
Private investigators.
Yeah, though, as Whiskey suggested, that if they go for private investigators, they might need to build up an alibi for that. Like, make a website for them as investigator temporarily, so that they seem like a legitimate
business.
Yeah, legitimate private investigator, not a bunch of Shadowrunners.
Mike reaches over, pulls out one of his other comm links, hits a few buttons, and everybody now has a web address and everything, because guess what his usual cover story for all of his IDs is?
Is a PI.
Security consultant, actually. Independent security consultant.
So you've just put all of them on the payroll?
The fictional payroll, yes.
It's like this, hey, why is my sister being paid more than me?
She's bigger than you.
Yeah, I have a bigger mouth to feed.
I bring more to the table.
If you can reach the table.
He's gonna get a dirty look right now. She just streaks her glass. It's like, this isn't over.
And Whiskey grins like, I got you back.
On paper, basically, but it's there. It's his standard cover story is, I try and find ways to break into places before other people do, which is kind of true.
Well, that's very good then. Well done, Mikey.
So, are we all set now? We ready to go meet our contact?
Don nods. Sybil nods. Sorry.
Well, I got my suit on and everything, so yeah, I'm ready.
Right, dressing up. So, Whiskey, you got yourself a suit. Grim, you got yourself a suit, right? Actually, I think everybody's got good enough clothes for this job.
I don't have anything that's for really high-end people, but I have enough to get me a decent pass, I think.
Everybody's got at least business clothes, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so is everyone getting in Mike's car? I'm pretty sure Mike had the car, right?
Yes, I am the only one, I think, with a multi-passenger vehicle.
Oh, Grim has her own vehicle too, right? So
Sybil's riding up front.
So who is everybody going together? Is Grim taking her own car? Is anyone going with Grim?
Which car is Sybil going into?
Mike's.
Isn't Grim's car a cop car?
Doesn't Grim have a casual car? Or does she always have a marked police vehicle?
I think she has both. I can't remember at the moment. Kara, what does her character sheet say?
Sybil will, of course, be with Mike because out of character, they just moved in together yesterday.
And I think Whiskey would be most likely to go with West End Mike's car, if only because I don't know if Grim's car could fit a troll very well.
Well, it could fit a troll, just not comfortably. And Twister left again without telling us he went anywhere. Tisk tisk. But anyway, Prodigy, are you going to physically go there, or are you still just doing the whole the matrix projection thing?
Sorry, where to specifically?
Right, everyone's getting in the vehicles and going to Parsons' penthouse, where Lawrence Archibald Haversmith is waiting to meet all of you.
Oh, well, in that case, yeah, he's gone. His not his astral form, his matrix form will get in the truck, and sit inside of a person as a joke, and then disappears when it's invisible.
Okay.
And then he'll tell people he's on his way.
Okay, and Grim, Pirate wants to ride with you. Do you object? Okay, so Pirate and Grim, Whiskey, West End Mike and Sybil, and then Prodigy, you're loaded, so you'll probably cab or take your mom's car or something.
May have somebody to drive him.
Yeah, a robot. I mean, why waste money on an employee when your Prodigy and his mother were both hackers and riggers, so...
Well, to rub it
Because you
into
can't
people.
hack flesh and blood, so it might be safer than a robot that can be hacked.
It's also fun to order people around. Oh, I shouldn't get the car, please.
Well, what do you think, Prodigy? Would the Cable Master have bothered with Flesh and Blood, or is she all drones all the way?
She would have bothered with flesh and blood, because for certain you can't make. There's bonuses of flesh and blood that you can't really deal with for robots. For example, in areas that you need to have astral perception.
Okay,
yeah.
but we're saying for your driver in particular. Would you have a physical person as your driver, or like 90% of the rest of the world, would you just let your car drive itself?
Oh, well, the car drives itself. Sorry, I thought you were talking about for teams. No, yeah, the car's self.
Yeah, no, not for a Shadowrunning team. We mean the people in your manor. Do you have people, or is it all drones?
Oh, in the manor, it's all drones.
Yes, okay, then that's, yes.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, you will all be arriving at a rather impressive-looking tower in the, I can't remember the name of the district, but it's the one north of the docks. Possibly northwest. But in any event, I think actually it's the same neighborhood as...
That will be either West Ham or East End.
I think it's West Ham. I can't remember. But I think it's the same neighborhood that Athena lives in, just further south. I think. In any event, we'll hash that out later. It's a nice place. And it's a tall tower surrounded by some other towers. So if Hauser were here, Hauser would have plenty of options. But he's in the penthouse of a particular building. I don't have the exact address, blah, blah, blah. When you get to the buzzer, basically, who would be the one to buzz up for the team?
I think West End Mike would make the most sense since he's providing cover IDs and he's the face.
Okay. So when you buzz, Archibald's face will appear and he'll say, "This is the law. What can I do for you?"
We were sent to come meet you. Some extra security for your client.
Oh, bitchin'. Okay. Yeah, no. Just come on in and take the furthest elevator on the right. It'll come straight up to the penthouse. See you soon. And he does little finger guns before tuning out.
This is the law, seriously? What the fucking... Well,
What was that, Whiskey?
Whiskey is just muttering like, what the fuck is this? This is the law. What kind of idiot is this? Oh.
Oh, because he introduced himself as the law. Okay.
Yeah, the way he acted is not helping much dispel that idea either.
And Grim says, "I hope they have good elevator music." The elevator does not have any music at all. Sorry, Grim. However, it does have an AR station for music selection and animated wallpaper if you want to switch to AR mode. No, Grim doesn't give a fuck of that. But Prodigy and Sybil, well, Sybil, you can't really shut off your senses. So basically there's 3 different channels for classical music, and it gives a sort of Baroque scene with a chamber band playing. There's a jazz quartet alternative, and a new metal for those hipsters in the building. Grim says these cheap places never have music anymore. Sybil and Prodigy, you'd know, well, yeah, there's music, you just have to turn it on.
Yeah.
And Grim also linked a video with 1 hour of elevator music.
Does it have the girl from Ipanema?
No, and right now I hear the standard like ding 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 type of thing.
Oh, it's this music. Oh, I've heard this one. This is the Muzak. Yes, okay. Well, I hope a Bobob's okay, but proceeding up the elevator, you will basically, right before making it to the penthouse, Lawrence will try... Actually, no, he didn't get any of your contact info, did he? So he can't call any of you. Who here has keen ears? Grim, you've got massive fucking perception. Why don't you roll?
How high perception are you? No, wait a second. This is by the drone, isn't it? No, it's not.
What?
Prodigy's perception is 10, plus his gear gives him plus 3. So he has 13 for auditory.
Okay, you could also give a roll if you'd like.
Whiskey would probably be a little bit surprised at the young boy joining the group suddenly.
Oh, he's a well-dressed young man. He could be a gnome like your sister.
Oh, you're a small one.
Huh.
That actually gives me an idea.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't know if it's active or not, so I just put it aside. Is it 4 or 5?
4 for active.
4?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's
doesn't
okay
matter
for
now.
now, yes. But yeah, I don't think even with your dice you would be able to beat Grim's roll. With 11 hits, Grim, you're going to be able to hear Frosty! What do you say when you discover the note?
So I just discovered this now?
Yeah, I imagine you'd probably be a bit upset and shouty.
Yeah. What in the world is this? This is outrageous. What do I pay you for? Just all those aspirated sighs and anger, frustration, but also a hint of maybe terror or fear.
And Grim, you can also just make out 2 other masculine voices. As you get closer, you'll definitely be able to tell that one of them is Lawrence, because you heard him at the front door. But the other voice you haven't heard yet. You don't recognize it. Yeah, there's definitely, 3 men total. You, as a player, know Max is Frosty, but Grim... Well, she's pretty logical, right? Do you want to roll common sense to see if she puts 2 and 2 together?
Also,
She
I
said-
figure the data package that's what's his name?
His
Prodigy
face.
sent. Yeah, there might be videos in there.
Well, Grim, did you review the files that Prodigy sent while on your way? Yeah? So then, yeah, you'll recognize his voice. Grim says to the group that it sounds like a party in there.
Interesting.
Maybe I should not have started drinking before this then.
Not the most fun. Well, he sounds pissed.
Well, yeah, you're generally pissed when you're at the party.
Not the fun pissed.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's find out why.
And not pissed on. It ain't that kind of party yet. And
Nothing
basically at
beyond
this
these
point,
politicians.
the elevator will be close enough that the rest of you will be able to get the tail end of the shouting coming through the doorway, but none of you are rolled high enough to... Well, Prodigy will be the next one to get little hints, but the rest of you didn't roll at all, so... Grim also says, so get your mind out of the gutter, especially you, kid, and she points to Prodigy. All of Kara's characters bully Prodigy.
You know the kid? Hey, Grim, is he a bit of a dirty type of guy?
Okay, Voin doesn't bully him. Voin basically just wants to ride him in a very mean way. Grim says, I assume. Kids are into a lot of weird things these days.
Also, he is a kid!
I look at Grim and go, you're not?
Oh, it's good that you tell me he's a kid. I was actually thinking of setting him up with my sister, but I don't think that will be proper.
God damn it, we need a Bow Bob. Where the hell is he? Grim says, fuck I am, but I mean, just look at him. You know he's hiding some kinky ass shit. Prodigy, you're right here next to her as she's saying all this.
He's looking distressedly at anybody else who looks like they're more of an adult.
I need an adult.
Well, they're
Hey,
standing right next to you.
Ew.
And Grim says, my guess is foot fetish, to which Prodigy replies with, you?
Oh, that's not all that kinky. That's mostly just strange, I figure.
Does this elevator hit the end of the...
Yeah, no, the elevator's there. It's just because Bobob's not here. And Grim says, yeah, but he's inexperienced. Speaking of, perhaps we should get going, yeah. So, how long do we want to wait for a Bobob? Should we stop the recording here, take a quick break, and catch a Bobob up when he gets back, or
I
just
would
press
not
on
mind a
without
break.
him?
That sounds
Yeah.
reasonable.
Yeah, waiting here probably makes the most sense.
Once you've all reached the top of the elevator ride, you're basically, the doors open right into the penthouse, but there is a kind of a entrance vestibule, as it were, in the hallway with glass doors between the elevator and the rest of the penthouse. And you can see through the glass doors quite clearly Parson, Lawrence, and a third individual who is, you don't have his name right now, but it's this guy here. I just pretend you don't know his name.
Mr. Anderson.
And Parson...
Which map are we on?
Oh, sorry, just on the title page. Sorry, there. I forgot. Actually,
Yeah, I was in the London map and like, yeah, okay.
Okay. But yeah, so Max Parson, that's Frosty, is pointing at Lawrence, and he's also got this piece of paper in his other hand, and he seems very upset with Lawrence, and Lawrence is got like his hands up defensively, looks over his shoulder at all of you coming up the elevator, and he's basically going to say, boss, it's fine. No, I've got these people here to help out. Like it's cool, it's chill, it's totally chill, man. Frosty, how do you respond?
It is not chill. It is not cool. There's a threat on my very own table.
Here, let me just get the door for you, boss. And these awesome people can like, you know, like, and he's like not even waiting for you to respond at this point. He's just turning and heading straight for the door. So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Like, he's going to turn around, look what he's doing. What are they going to supposed to be?
Okay, out of character though, real quick. Since we're all under West End Mike's little cover story, we work for him, so technically he's the one in charge, so he should be the one doing the main speaking.
Which is appropriate considering he's got the most charisma out of all of you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we were all aware about it ahead of time before we introduce ourselves.
Speaking of West End Mike, go ahead and roll your 5SR4 to see how well your software is... Actually, you know what? Because they're wearing their hearts on their sleeves right now, I'll give you a +4 bonus. So 9SR4, the number of hits determines how much of a bonus you get from your software, the face scan one. What's it called? Empathy software.
Mona Lisa.
Do I also need to roll that? Because I also think I have empathy software.
Do you have it running?
I think so, since we're going into a social thing.
Okay, well, if you think Whiskey would do that. Prodigy, you would probably have yours as well, right?
I imagine.
Okay, so anyone who has the empathy software, you get a +4 bonus because these people are wearing their hearts on their sleeves.
And it is called Mona Lisa, right?
No, not Mona Lisa, empathy software.
Right, and you run the rating of the software?
Just the rating of the software itself. And really, West End Mike, you have rating 6? Damn.
Yep, that's... Remember, I have the Beast Link.
Apparently.
You
Got
can
life protection
always
at rating
edge.
6 too.
It's true. If you want, you could edge that. Twister, you had a question?
I don't think I have it.
You do on the Emotitoy. So did you bring the Emotitoy or did you leave that at home?
Oh, I would have left that at home for sure.
Oh, but Mummy said you had to keep it with you.
But you're going to a professional setting. Do you want to take a children's toy to a professional setting?
And also, West End Mike, it's now a matter of pride. Are you going to edge that?
Already typing it up.
Okay.
It just...
Don't want to
Because that is
get beat
terrible.
by whiskey, eh?
Oh, not just that, but that really is... At 1 hit out of 10 dice... There we go. I get the full 6 rating.
Okay, great.
Thanks
so
to Edge.
great. But yeah, so Twister, did Prodigy bring the Emotitoy? Check. Does it have a chameleon coating?
Oh, that's a good question.
Also, here's the thing though. Does he really need to bring it with him when he's not physically with us?
No, he showed up.
I showed up, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, else whiskey wouldn't be trying to set him
No,
up with
no.
Pirate.
Chameleon coating. Yes, it does. Okay. Yeah.
Great.
then
So
he'll
it can
bring
be invisible.
Yeah, I was looking under the sensor settings. I'm like, what? No, it's not in there. Nothing in there. Wait a second. It's missing a lot of shit here. There we go.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, this would be absolutely has a cover story for the toy. If they detect it, we could go like, well, this was just to detect your base security automatically. See if you can detect someone who's coming in invisibly. Apparently, you don't have that even security.
But yeah, so go ahead and roll the rating +4. All right. So your social interactions, if you plan to do any Prodigy, will be at +3 until the software catches up. Meanwhile, Whiskey and West End Mike, both of your software, it's basically like, oh yeah, this guy's pissed, this guy's defensive, and that guy over there is being professional and playing his cards close to his chest, meaning the guy in the back, Davey, who is basically going to put a hand on Max Parsons' shoulder and whisper in his ear. I'm just going to tell Frosty what he says. Is like, sir, I don't think it's a good idea to let these people in. These could be the people who just gave you the death threat. Meanwhile, before Parson can even stop Lawrence is whipping the door open and saying, yeah, thanks for coming. Come on in, meet the boss.
I will walk on in, being very obviously non-threatening, and I hope everybody else has the sense to do that too.
Whiskey would
No,
try
I-
actually to be very professional, kind of even try to hide her accent a little bit, like, well, thank you, yes, that would be fine.
All of you roll etiquette, but West End Mike, your etiquette is the etiquette that matters most.
I get the +2 bonus, correct?
You do indeed. Because basically your little drone is going to whisper in your ear, sit up straight, square your shoulders, get your chin up a little.
Sybil's not usually very
Huh, I actually
social.
thought I gave, Pirate some etiquette points, but apparently not.
I really have it this high? Okay then.
Remember,
Yeah, apparently it's
when we
executive.
built Whiskey, you said you wanted Whiskey to be the tough, pretty girl.
Yeah, indeed, but I did, wow, yeah, this high. Alright.
I only have 2, edge points, but I gotta do this just so I don't embarrass everyone. Jesus.
You don't have to.
this-
You don't have to. You can take a mulligan on it. You and Sybil can just be at the back of the group.
Well, considering there's a troll and I'm a gnome, and considering everything else here, I'm probably gonna be the hardest one to see.
Okay, I'm a little bit shocked that Whiskey has this exact same dice pool as West End Mike for this. West End Mike.
Yeah, I
is
told
a
you that.
elf.
Yeah, that doesn't even make sense. What's your
How the-
skill rank on etiquette?
Yeah. So what's your charisma? What's your skill rating? And what is the bonus you get from the empathy software?
Okay, I think there's going something wrong with the empathy, because the Chummer help lists it as I have 3 charisma, 5
3 charisma?
plus 3 charisma. Wait, no, skill rating 3, 5 charisma, 5 empathy software, 3 from tailored pheromones, and then it lists another +5 from empathy software.
Okay. Yeah, you should not get double the empathy software. So we'll subtract 5 of those.
Yeah, I don't
dice,
know where
which
that
will
is
remove
coming
one
from.
Hit. You'll have 7 hits. So.
Still
Yeah,
17.
16 makes a lot more sense for that.
Oh
dice
yeah,
roll.
16. Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know
so,
where that is from, the second.
It's the software glitches. It's Chummer has problems.
Okie doke.
Oh,
Yeah.
now I recall why Pirate has very little etiquette. Okay, I remember
Okay.
why. I did
So
that.
yeah, West End Mike, you are definitely giving a solid impression. Whiskey, you're right there. Like West End Mike's the professional. Whiskey is the professional body. Like
Muscle.
She's the muscle. Mike's the face, and that's very clear. The rest of you, Grim, you make a good impression too. In fact, you look like, well, you're wearing a suit. Like what's Grim wearing? A gray 3-piece. Okay. But she also still has the tattoos visible, right? She didn't put any cover up on them, makeup. So she also looks like she's pretty much the muscle as well. Prodigy, you made a good impression as well. So you seem to be... yeah. Oh.
This is why I wasn't going to roll.
Yep, no, it's fine. Like I said, you can mulligan it, but it's not a real glitch anyway. So yeah, basically the order is Mike, Whiskey, Grim, Sybil... Wait, no, Prodigy, Sybil, Pirate for order of impressiveness.
But still, we're doing a pretty good job of looking like professionals.
Indeed, indeed. But we should actually have Frosty, if you would roll for me. Let's say, well, he is under some emotional distress, so 13 SR4. He is a politician.
Oh, I should probably impersonate. Sorry about that.
No worries, and yeah, like you can tell Wolf to just be quiet because somehow Lawrence seems to have brought in actual professionals. Like, bravo, Lawrence.
First time I'm actually proud of you.
But yeah, so West End Mike, you want to introduce yourself to Max?
I'd like to. I'm just trying to remember how I...
Usually it starts with, "Hello, sir. I am so-and-so of
Yeah, that's what
XYZ company."
Yes, I was looking up to see which ID. Yes, yes, Mitchell Francisco, private security contractor, and my associates. We were sent here by a colleague of yours. Heard you were having some difficulty, and it seems from what we heard on the way up this elevator that your colleague was right. Mind if we see the note?
He looks at Lawrence, at Wolf, back to
Wolf will,
Lawrence, and like,
Wolf will kind of interject, sir, and say, "This is a private affair. Perhaps we should have them vetted before involving them in your personal life, sir."
and how are they going to make it any worse? Let me say that. There was a handwritten note on my table. And none of you
Classic.
noticed. So how could it be? How could these people make it any worse? It's clear that somebody already gets in here, so
Sir, I just want you to bear in mind that your personal and professional life as well in equal measure. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize the potential re-election.
well, that doesn't matter if I'm dead.
Of course.
And I
So-
give that note to Lawrence and just point it, just show it to them.
And Lawrence will, of course, just hand it right over to West End Mike. And so, West End Mike, are you going to like read it silently or read it out loud?
Well, first I'll take a look at it, and read it silently. But before I decide whether I should yell this to the whole room.
Okay.
We are
So,
very discreet. And the more
it's-
information we have, the quicker we can get out of her life, sir.
Well, what I didn't say is, of course, I can take a picture of it with my cyber eyes and immediately, email it to everybody.
Fair enough. Okay. So the note starts with, "It will be a joy to cut out your tendons before proceeding along your entire body." And then it just basically goes into some rather gruesome detail about how said body is going to be eviscerated and peeled apart in very careful way so that he doesn't die until it's ready for him to die. And then signs off with, "But I have such special plans for your body."
Okay, this is one of two things. This is either just to scare the shit out of him, or he really pissed off someone and this is very personal.
I look at it and say, well, there is one good piece of news. That clearly not a professional. Otherwise, you would not have received this note. Your first warning would have been a gunshot. So, we're dealing with an amateur. An amateur, admittedly, who managed to get in and leave this on your desk, so... a
And
threat
seems to be very
nonetheless.
passionate about this.
What?
Can you show us to where you found this note? That you found it on your desk?
Right here, on the desk.
Again, sir, there are private files in your office. Perhaps you should have me clean up before we allow them to just look at whatever.
Just move the files. But I don't get it. Why can't you understand? My life has been threatened.
My
And it
apologies,
seems
sir.
only Lawrence has taken the initiative to do something.
Okay, out of character, that shit-eating grin on Lawrence's token is exactly what his face looks like right now. Meanwhile, Wolf has exactly his expression of that, "Oh god damn it, I'm going to lose my career over this."
Is gonna lose it due to Lawrence, of all people.
So yeah, if anyone wants to do a judge intentions, empathy software will give you a +5, or, well, sorry, a plus whatever your empathy software is at. Prodigy, bearing in mind yours is only at a 3 right now.
That is 8.
rolls are not going well.
Mine finally are starting to turn around.
He's got my entire dice pool. Damn.
Wow!
Again, this is kind of what Mike was built to do, and he didn't skimp on anything.
And Prodigy, your roll?
I have the lowest
Sorry, I
die
forgot
pool,
what
and I got the second highest roll.
Sorry, what was that you said, Prodigy?
I forgot where it was. There we
Oh,
go.
okay. So, yeah, pretty much all of you can tell because Lawrence is pretty straight up just the guy he appears to be. So even those of you who got 2 hits can read Lawrence. That he's proud to have been told by his boss that he's somehow outshining the other guy, whose name you actually haven't got yet. Meanwhile, the other guy, those of you who got 2 hits, he looks annoyed. Those of you who got 5 or more hits, he looks like there's something else eating away at him. And West End Mike, you get a suspicious vibe from him. You're already thinking, maybe he's the one who wrote the note.
Got it. But yes, we will need to see where the note was left so that we can look to see how whoever it was got in here. If you need to clean up files, please do it quickly.
Right. So Wolf will basically just jot ahead as Lawrence will stay with Max, leading the rest of you to the office. Did you want to talk on the way there, Max?
Sure. I would probably ask the obvious question of, well, 2 obvious questions. What's your, experience in things such of these? And, I do assume that, this is all confidential.
Of course, we don't get paid to talk to people. We get paid to fix problems. And I've been doing this for over a decade, and a number of my other companions have similar experience levels. Trust me, we know what we're doing.
Well, for my own sake, I do hope so.
As you might guess, I handle more of the physical side of protection, while my colleagues will probably be smarter in the investigative part.
Yeah. Not really interested in that, Patterson.
I guess Pirate would speak up at this point and point first to Prodigy and then haphazardly point over to Sybil and go, myself and my associates are... Myself and my co-workers right here are in charge of magical and matrix-based security. Do you happen to have any of those on the premises?
Frosty, you'd know that the building has its own security, but your personal security is just Lawrence. You haven't hired anything additional beyond Lawrence.
Yeah, I will explain that.
What kind of magical and matrix-based security do you have here available then, from this building?
Again, so the building is basically got a contract with one of the premier wage mage groups that specialize in security for fine clientele without going as far as personalized security. So basically they conjure up spirits that patrol multiple buildings.
A lot of higher end places will also have like a magical equivalent of a safe room, basically one room that's been warded.
Correct, yes. Although in this case, it's actually, they've actually paid for a Wakened Ivy inside the walls. So it's not quite the same thing as a warded room. It's basically astral privacy screen that also has a layer that would alert someone if a astral body passed through it, and then they'd be able to dispatch their guardian spirits to protect the building. Max wouldn't be able to give all that in detail. He'd basically just say the name of the company that is the contract, and a very simple web search or 3 or 4 hits on a knowledge roll would get you all that information. It's easy enough information to find that I'm not going to make you make the rolls.
Okay,
A common
if I
sense
did
roll.
it-
That's logic plus intuition, right?
That's correct, yes. And Boba, what were you saying?
I was saying, if I did a magical theory roll, could I figure out exactly and see it, logical ways or how hard or easy it would be to slip past the ivy if you're using spirits or some kind of way to go through it magically or astrally?
Breaching an astral barrier like that, is my understanding that unless they attuned themselves to the same kind of astral wavelength, the breach would always be noticeable.
Yeah, stuff like that is
Okay.
more of a tripwire system. You know, you can smash through it pretty easily, but trying to get through without triggering the alarm is...
Basically, you'd have to blend in with the specific strain of the awakened ivy that's in the building.
Something that would have taken long periods of time, not something that could be done quickly, then.
Generally, yes. And then,
Okay,
what was that
so-
common sense for, Whiskey?
I'm texting basically it was to see if she would blurt out what is occurring to her, or if she's smart enough to quietly
That'd be a
communicate
compo-
it with the
That'd
group.
be a composure roll.
Okay, then
But, yeah.
then
as
I'll
for-
just add my composure as 8 SR4, so I'll just add 1 to that then, I guess.
Okay. And then as for matrix security, again, that's handled by the building itself. Max doesn't have the details. Lawrence forgot the details, but a very simple web search onto the website of the property manager, they'd explain that, you know, they've got an active spider who monitors multiple buildings. They have cameras, they have drones on rails that patrol the perimeters, and they've got multiple sensors for infrared and ultrasonic or blah blah blah. As for composure, Whiskey, you'll probably start talking but be able to cut yourself off before you say too much.
This doesn't make too much sense, but I'll discuss it with you later, boss. He says to Wish. Bah, I've been talking without pressing the speak button. So yeah, Whiskey would be like, this doesn't make any sense. Why would they? Oh, boss, we will talk about this later, I guess, right?
Weston Mike will nod, just barely a smile on his face, you know.
Weston Mike, will you remind your associate that she can text you messages privately?
I will just send her a text message, you know, because again, I'm set up with a direct neural link, so I could just text her without even moving. You know, or you could just send it to us like this if you don't want to wait.
Detective Grimm, you are a detective. Do you have any questions you want to be asking?
Sybil is going to do a scan, both visually and through matrix scan, to see if there are any cameras in the room with his desk when they get in there.
I'll save you the trouble. No, there aren't. But yeah, so when you make it to the office, Wolf will basically be tucking away some files and then just sort of putting his hands behind his back and standing rather firmly and directly. And Max, you'll be able to point at your desk to show you where the note was.
And I shout, it was right here, right? In front of the space I work in. Yeah, and I will point with my finger.
Then, with your permission, sir, may me and my associates go over the place astrally and magically, over the matrix.
And again, Wolf will interject saying, "Sir, magic fine, but I strongly recommend we do not allow outside contractors access to our matrix hardpoint."
I agree with the... And it makes sense, because there's a lot of personal and,
Confidential.
secure confidential information on the server, so I would ask you not to use the, God damn it, my brain's going all haywire, but not use the, tech search. Since, it was handwritten, so how would going through that help you in any case?
Well, maybe someone hacked the doors in here. That's the way they got in.
Or they may have left something.
Grim sends a text message to the team. We could propose a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, I'd noticed that, and I was going to get to that. If it would make all parties feel better, we could certainly arrange for some non-disclosure agreements before we continue this investigation.
Just saying that, Wolf looks a little bit surprised at that suggestion, and then he leans in to kind of whisper to Max, but you're all close enough, you can basically hear him anyway. And he'll say, "Sir, those would have to be absolutely airtight before I could recommend anything of that nature, and that would take some time that I'm not sure you have for this investigation."
Well, so long as I'm here, no one's gonna be cutting up the sir when they're on my watch, I can tell you that.
Frosty, did you hear what I had said as Wolf?
No, sorry, that must have gone past my...
Sorry, Wolf said if we do a non-disclosure agreement, it needs to be airtight. That takes time because we need lawyers to look it over, and I'm not sure you have time to waste with this current situation. Frosty? Oh, sorry.
I'm just trying to think how he would answer to this.
Remember, if getting
Isn't there a-
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
There's
Isn't
also the thing
this particularly what I'm paying you for? To have a solution to these kind of problems? And like you said, I don't have the time for that, so how about you, instead of roadblocking all the time, give me some kind of possible detour, like anything.
So as Max is chewing out Wolf, you can see Wolf just biting his lip, trying to hold back. That this is obviously upsetting him a great deal. And like you guys don't even, your judge intention rules, you would need to critically glitch not to see just how much Wolf is holding back in this. He says, I'm very sorry, sir. This happened all very suddenly. I haven't had time to fully process a solution for this situation. Perhaps we could invite these investigators back at a later time and review the details that have been approved and appropriate for review. Basically, Wolf is saying, kick them out right now. We can call them back later.
What kind of no good... sorry. He was... What his point in this is actually like...
Admin assistant.
What kind of assistance are you? Don't you get it? My life has been threatened. And you want to throw away the help we just got, thanks to Lawrence's, well, at least some quick thinking.
So, could I, to West End Mike, Whiskey would go, Sir, am I allowed to...
If you're texting to West End Mike, you can just type that so you don't
No,
interrupt.
she's actually physically speaking here.
Oh,
Sir.
is she interrupting Max then?
Well, no, she is
So
at first...
if she's not interrupting him, please let Frosty finish first.
Okay, sorry.
So Frosty, you were saying?
Basically, I was scolding Wolf to being a no good assistant and giving a little bit of quote-unquote glory to Lawrence for at least doing something to solve this problem. And I'm paying for you to help me. So, find a solution now, not later, not other time, now.
Of course, sir. If you don't mind, then I'll slip into VR and monitor from VR, sir. If you don't mind.
Sure.
So then Wolf will step over to a chair at the side of the office, sit down, and then basically go limp as he slips into VR. Grimm says, we are also here to lend protection, not just investigation. With a threat like this, yeah, probably best not to leave him alone. If it makes you feel better, not all of us have to stay all the time. And then, Whiskey, you were going to say something?
She was going to say exactly what you just said, so...
Oh, Whiskey was going to say the same thing as Grimm?
Yeah, pretty much.
And I would have sent this text message doing the chewing out, and it seems like I'm getting out of character. I'm getting a few ideas of what actually may be going on, but not 100% sure. But it'd be a good idea to get every one of these people on our side just to try to help us get a bigger picture on the inner workings here.
No, that's a little bit farther down the road. My next question is actually going to be, how many people have access to this office? Now, are there cleaning personnel or anything like that, or is it just the 3 here in this room?
There is a single member of cleaning staff from the building itself. That will be about the only information Lawrence will be able to offer as far as who else could have got into this office. He'll kind of scratch his head and stare at the ceiling for a minute as he thinks, and be like, yeah, no, just the cleaning person.
Well, I mean, other than that, just the 3 of you, or do you have any other coworkers who might be allowed in here?
Lawrence would be like, well, no one's allowed in here, but I mean, when we have parties, I occasionally have to, get people out of this room, but we haven't had a party in, like, weeks at least.
So this room isn't kept locked separate from the rest of the penthouse?
Out of character, you can only reach the penthouse through the elevator or the emergency stairs.
Yeah. Well, what I'm asking is this locked separate from the rest of this? If anybody gets access to the penthouse, can they simply walk into this particular room, or
Well,
do they
Lawrence
have extras?
Lawrence will say, well, I mean, usually the office is locked. Maybe sometimes I forget at the end of the day to lock it, sometimes.
When exactly did you find the note, and when was the last time you were in the office before the note was appeared?
Who are you asking that to specifically? Or just in general?
In general, to see which one of them, because it also tells us who originally found the note this way as well.
Okay, so, Max, how long of a wait before you respond? Like, are you going to look at Lawrence and expect him to answer first, or are you just going to start talking?
I will start talking, like, not too long before you, came in.
Could I maybe
within
see
the
that
last-
note a moment, please?
Well, we already actually have it. Yeah.
Yeah, but can I personally see it?
I'll hand it to Whiskey. I
Well,
would presume I
any of
still have it.
you...
I mean, I don't think anybody took it away from you guys. At
No.
any-
Yeah, but
West
I
End
figure...
Mike had it. West End Mike has handed it to Whiskey.
Yes.
The question that went to Max was, how long ago? You said you saw it just moments before this team arrived. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, probably that this hasn't been the first, right? But this has been the first that has been left like this, right in front of me, to be found. In my
And,
So the three of you...
and Lawrence will mention that all those previous ones were just, bitter constituents that, all of those got handled nice and easy right away, easy peasy.
Okay.
Can I
So-
roll something to see if I recognize the handwriting?
I don't see how you know to do that, but before that, Bob, you had something you wanted to say?
So I was gonna say, so the three of you have been in this penthouse the entire day, and then this note suddenly appeared. Did any of you, did the three of you ever leave this place completely empty at any one point? Okay.
No, all three of them are in the penthouse. Basically, because Max needs Wolf for his professional career, he has a room off to the side. Since he needs Lawrence for protection, he has a room off to the side. And they basically live on the same floor as the penthouse, but in their own little bachelors.
They all three live here then, okay.
And
But they have privacy.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. But what I mean is that, so they've all, what I'm pretty much asking is that, so all three of these people have been in the penthouse pretty much all day today, and this note just
And the night-
someone
and-
discovered
yes.
why they were here.
So yes, the day before, the note wasn't in his office. They got up this morning, went about their routines. Eventually, Max went into his office and found the note. And then you guys came pretty much right after he found the note. And then, Whiskey, what were you asking?
yeah, no, I was going to explain why why Whiskey wants to see the note and why she's trying to see if she
Yes, okay.
recognizes the handwriting.
But why would Whiskey recognize handwriting?
Here's what the theory I have. There is, we were dealing with a Shadowrun contract, and suddenly a handwritten death note appears just as we were beginning to investigate. So, her theory is that this is actually a note written by Alistair to alert, to kind of
Okay,
alert...
so she just wants to know if it's Alistair's handwriting.
Yes.
Okay. You've never actually seen Alistair handwrite anything.
Okay,
He
well,
uses the Matrix for typing, basically.
They're like e-cigs,
Like
and stuff like that.
90% of the population usually.
yeah, so she looks it over then and concludes that she can't figure it out and hands it back to Mike.
Okay.
Actually,
Was there anything further you wanted to say as Pyretabo, Bob?
no, I'll just say with my boss's permission, as she turns to Mike, I will begin scanning this place with my sight.
Okay.
Sure. And while you're at it, take a look at this note too. See if there's any sort of astral signature left on it that we might be able to track.
Okay. I'll do that first on the note, and I'll do a second roll as I just start investigating the place.
Okay, and do you have psychometry or
That's Okami.
Oh, it's Okami. Okay, nuts. Okay.
Yeah.
And then before I have Grim ask her question, did Sybil or Prodigy want to say anything? You two have been pretty quiet. Well, obviously Sybil wants to say a lot of stuff, but she can't. Did she want to relay a message to the team to have someone ask anything?
Active is
No.
+4, right?
Active is +4, yes. Sorry, what was that, Hunter?
Nothing coming to mind at the moment. But
Okay, and... Oh, sorry, but...
he is going to go through and try and find out Wolf's Matrix information.
Okay, so we'll get to that in just a moment. Prodigy, how about yourself? Did you want to ask any questions, or did you want to do anything VR or AR related as well?
Not really. Not that I can think of at the moment.
Okay, so then Grim will say, all right, and outside of the obvious political rivals, any personal groups or individuals who may have vested interest in harm to you, the politics angle will be easy to check, but we should know about any outstanding personal grudges. Not the details, but just think if there are any people who maybe have an extra strong feeling to see problems come your way. Lawrence will say, "Oh yeah, we keep records of all that. I can, boss. Can I give them all that stuff?"
Just show it to them. I mean, we'll figure out the the closure agreement.
Okay, yeah. So once Wolf's awake again, I'll have him send you all those files. Cool? That's cool. Yeah.
All right.
Pyrette, there is no magical signature on the note. There is no magical aura in the penthouse other than the minor barrier provided by the ivy. So basically you cannot see outside of the penthouse because you're surrounded by awakened ivy.
Okay, but that at least gives me a hint that at least this wasn't done magically or the person had enough time to scrub the stuff.
Indeed.
Okay. I would inform my boss and the client about that as I finish my astral examination of the place.
All right, and Whiskey, if you could please roll... you're on good terms with him, so 9 SR4, please.
Okie doke. Damn. I think I'll edge that.
All right, so then Edge will only get rid of the glitch, but still 2 hits is more than his 1 hit. So yeah, subtract 1 of your Edge, and Alistair will get back to you almost right away saying, written note? No? What are you asking? What do you mean written note? El Diablo, if you're talking, we can't hear you at the moment.
No, I'm actually, because since this is a well, I was typing out the text, but I'll just say the text back to us. So it's like, okay, just checking. That says enough.
Seriously, what note? What are you talking about?
Don't need to know, babe. Just get back to your part of this thing.
Okay, I'll trust you on that.
Yeah, okay, well that answers, makes sure that my suspicion was not correct, okay.
All right, and Grim will say, well, good. Also, we will quickly filter this down to anyone local first. If we can't place any moderately locally, we can put them into different lists first. She'll say, turning to the party, also in an effort to look professional and give hints to the kid. Kara, you might have to spell it out because I'm not sure what hint you're trying to drop. All right, but Sybil, you wanted to try and do what exactly to Wolf's VR?
I wanted to find out his matrix information. Try and get his name in info, as West and Mike asked her and Prodigy to do.
So go ahead and do a matrix perception roll, bearing in mind you get a +2 for being a technomancer.
Matrix perception is for technomancer computer and analyze. Yes.
Analyze.
For matrix perception, yeah, it's the analyze complex form.
Okay, so Grim is asking one of the two hackers to basically do the tedious legwork of checking every single suspect and then seeing if those suspects were within the vicinity of the tower last night. Sybil, with 5 hits, you will be able to determine that Wolf Davy is using an access ID and a persona labeled Wolf Davy. Its persona's appearance is basically just the logo of the party with his name basically attached to it. So it's a professional ID that he's logging on with, not a personal one. And if you want any more additional information, you'll have to search a little more deeply. But his name is public access, so if you want, you can contact him at the number listed at any time. Thank you very much. We're very happy to help you with your political need, or your basically his profile is basically just he works for Max Parson. If you want to contact Max Parson, contact Wolf Davy instead, and he'll make sure that the important information makes it to Max Parson.
I keep hearing Max Person.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's the tongue twisted.
That's would be kind of awesome.
Well, it's a name that easily gets turned into a Max Person.
Well,
I am Maximum Person.
Sybil's gonna forward this info to West End Mike.
All right, and I'd probably PM back that if you can find, either now or later, if you can find any way to contact him directly. Basically, I want to ask him some questions. I just don't want to do it in front of his boss and his potential rival.
Yeah, no, you can. That's exactly the contact information that Sybil got.
Okay.
Basically, he's the filter, so you can't contact Max directly.
Okay.
So you can always contact Wolf, but getting to Max, you'd have to either know his personal number or go through Davy.
Okay. Actually, I guess then that I should ask, Mr. Parson, would you like us to contact you directly or go through Mr. Davy for our communications as we investigate?
Just...
Lawrence will raise his hand. Maybe I should handle it, boss?
Yeah, sure.
All right, can you give us your contact information, Mr. Haversmith?
Yeah, and he does his finger guns and then kind of like slowly whittles as he realizes, oh yeah, death threat. Probably shouldn't do the finger guns. But then basically sends his digital card into the AR for anyone to download.
Right. Right, I think that's what we're going to have done here, unless either of our technical experts think they can do any investigating without directly interacting with their private files.
Do we think we need to leave someone behind to assure the physical well-being of Mr. Parson, or do we think he is perfectly fine to help with his two fine employees?
For the moment, I think since they're obviously now on high alert, we can rely on them. Perhaps tonight we'll set up a watch of some nature, but at least for the daylight hours, I think they can handle it.
Max, how do you feel about that?
I think that somebody else also should stay here because this.
Grim says, hey, I can stick around. So the woman with the tattoos on her face is saying she'll stick around with you.
What are your qualifications?
Anyone who wants to do a judge intentions roll, by the way, now would be a good time. While Kara types out whatever her response is as Grim.
Will do.
Do I still get the bonus from the software?
You do indeed, yes. That has not gone away. Oh yeah. Well, West End Mike, you can definitely tell Lawrence is very eager to have Grim stay the night. He seems to be assessing her assets as you speak.
So he's got more than a professional interest in her hanging out here.
Yeah, she's certainly more his type than Whiskey is, or Pirate, or Sybil for that matter. He's got eyes for Grim.
Or Prodigy 2, right? I'm just making sure that's on the list.
Well, I mean, he might sandwich you between Grim and himself, but no.
That
Okay.
honestly sounds more terrifying than otherwise.
So Grim's gonna say, well, start quite a lot of street experience and quite a fair bit of law enforcement work. Not that I'm a cop right now, as it was, so I can be quite the professional. How do you respond, Max?
So you do have law enforcement. So you know the etiquette of protecting someone.
Also her way around handcuffs. Out of character.
Grim will say, exactly. And Lawrence will say, boss, don't worry. I can get her up to speed on the ins and outs of your operation and your particular protection routine.
I will private message Grim. Make sure that he doesn't show you any extra ins and outs, at least while you're the only one here to help watch. What you do in your off time is your business, but
You're on the cloud
You're,
now.
you're on company hours right now because she's technically working for you.
very technically, like this company doesn't actually exist, but it's got a website.
Yeah.
Grim says she'll make sure to keep the cameras on.
Not quite what I had in mind.
Well, that will cost extra.
Speaking of which, Twister, did Prodigy bring any of his little itty bitty drones?
Yeah. If he brought that one. There's like he brought it in the same backpack that he has all the 25 mini drones. He's also got the flying eye, and he probably, I know we never went over it, so I don't know if he's allowed to have any combat drones.
Legally in the UK? Not unless he's got a very particular type of license for a very particular small set of combat drones. But the great thing about drones is that you can always spoof their IDs. Oh no, this isn't a coaxial double machine gun hella drone? No, no, no. This is just a quadcopter with a camera on it. A very elongated camera that shoots bullets. I mean, shoots photos.
Smile, you're in candid camera.
So legally
ignore
no,
the
but you're a
sites.
Shadowrunner, so decide how much that counts.
And Sybil's going to leave her
Well-
fly spy.
Sorry, Twister, what were you saying?
Sorry, I made a joke saying ignore the scope on top of the camera. That's
The secondary camera.
it's a secondary camera to make sure that the camera's in sight to make yeah. Then I guess I'll skip that process for now because he definitely wouldn't want to be like driving down the street with these things, even though he has the car that has the shielded compartment.
Okay, but Sybil, you're going to be dropping off some of... You said you're going to drop off one of your drones?
Yeah.
Where and how?
He's going to let it go when she's well, no. He doesn't want to seem like trying to spy on them, so she's not going to.
So if some of us are sticking around, like around the office to make sure that he has like some protection, I wouldn't mind sticking around here because I can't really do much stuff physically, but I can like be Overwatch for the team, and then I can provide extra visual security around the premises.
So basically Prodigy's sending that as a text message to the team, or...
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. That actually sounds pretty good. Maybe you can keep Grim out of trouble. Not likely, but...
I can
So long
use
as
the technicians as well.
so long as the parson is good with it.
Grim sends the text message. Let's face it, kid, I get it. You want first dibs on the camera feed. I get it. Kinky.
Well, I actually have 25 cameras that I'm probably gonna fly around the premises, just to make sure nobody like tries to sneak in. But I guess I could get myself set up in the camera room, or security head office. Whatever the security feeds lead to.
Well, that's just it. The building has security that is
Yeah.
separate from...
Separate
the-
company does that.
Yeah. Basically, it's not Lawrence.
It's
who's-
outsourced.
Yeah, outsourced. Thank you. Perfect.
So I would not be able to cooperate with them, basically.
You would have to, go through the extra legwork. They can't just make it happen. It has to be worked on.
Yeah. I was gonna text this to the group. Was that, do you guys want me to stay here and just be on active magical watch, or do you want to see if we can get permission for me to leave a couple of spirits here? Because I can't have them come here and back to do it. I have to cast it and leave it in this room.
leave a spirit here for now. We might need you during our other legwork.
Okay. We gotta see about getting me permission to do that then, because it's gonna take me a while to either get the materials to cast something big, or I can leave some smaller ones, but they're not gonna stay here for long periods of time.
Oh, I'm planning on having us be back here by sundown, so...
I can get
little...
some that can stay here. I can leave something small enough that can last that long.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just make sure we get some permission first so we don't piss them off.
Right. We'll turn to our two physically present people. I believe what we're going to do is I'm going to have Grim and Prodigy stay here to provide physical. And
Is that the names you're using
it's whatever names they decide to use
to
when they
register
fill-
with the company? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're nicknames. These are code names. But I'm going to have those two stay here for physical and matrix security, and Pirate would like to leave a watcher spirit here as well, if that's okay with you.
Lawrence will say, yeah, sounds good to me. And he'll turn to Max and say, boss, got approval?
At this point, I'm I'm desperate, so yeah, yes, just make sure that it doesn't mess up things. I mean,
Oh, of course, of course.
No, no. My spirits would stay Billy in the astral, sir. You won't see them. They'll just be there keeping watch, so you don't have to worry about them.
And our electronics expert will be using his own hardware, so nothing to worry about there. And then the rest of us will go try and figure out who sent this note and that. A little more proactively, rather than wait for them to move.
yes, please do it. Just
All right then, let's we do that, and then the four of us leave, and Grim and Prodigy can stay here.
Okay, and Pyrite, were you summoning a Watcher Spirit?
I was gonna see. Yeah, I was double checking the rules on that because I haven't looked at these in a while, so I gotta double check and watch real quick. So you can have the
So
Gremlin.
it's a number of hours equal to your hits, I believe, for the Watcher Spirit.
Yeah, but there's also like how many and how.
One at a
long?
time. It's one at a
Oh
time.
yeah.
And it's until sundown or sun up, whichever comes next.
Yeah. Okay, so just do that then. So it's just summoning then drain, if I recall correctly.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so.
No, I'm not expect anybody to make a move in broad daylight, so by nightfall we're going to be back here and in force.
3 hits.
3 hours, so you might have to conjure up
Still
some
gotta do drain
additional
for-
ones later.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I have to be inside because I can't do it outside, and then we went back, send it in because of the ivy. First, I gotta do my drain. Did that, and then I'm gonna do another summoning for a second one.
7 hours. All right. Do you want to use all 7 hours, or do you want to limit that?
How long is it for between now and sundown?
Um, Probably closer to 9 hours. This is still the morning, basically.
This is about the best I can do because if I do any more, I'm gonna take some hits.
That's fine. 7 hours. We can be back in 7 hours.
Yeah, pretty much how it was gonna have the 3-hour spirit watching the office for now, see if anything else pops up, and then the 7-hour one is just watching inside the penthouse, watching the front door and the entryway. If
That
anyone
works.
comes in and out.
Works for me. Go for it.
Yeah. Okay, so drain. Oof, I'm taking some serious stun damage for a while. So that's 5 stun.
4 difference of.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure.
Big
I
math.
mean, in any event, you'll just need to rest for a while to get rid of that. And
Yeah.
considering this is going to be a long haul mission, you're going to have plenty of time to rest. No one's
Yeah, I'll
making a
do
move
it.
today. I'm going to just tell you straight up right now, since you've all made your efforts to protect. That's good on you, but you're not going to uncover anything on the first day.
Yeah, true, but then I can always just have these things. I have the spirit in the entry, which is probably covering enough that I can maybe overhear some things going on.
Valid point, indeed. Okay.
Yeah.
So, before people leave, any other actions any of you want to take?
Not on Sybil's end.
besides a polite goodbye, no.
Prodigy would probably step into the washroom and disseminate a bunch of the flying drones, just across the room and the area that this guy's chilling in. Probably outside as well. Maybe a couple on the roof. Just like as general.
Sorry, did you
area.
say roof?
How many floors above?
You're on the penthouse, but you don't have roof access from inside the penthouse.
That's fair. How long do these last for?
Drones can move for 6 hours of mobile operating time. If
Okay.
they're stationary, they can last a bit longer.
Okay.
The thing is, how are you hiding them, or are you just literally dispersing these drones and, oh well, if they find them, they find them?
Well, I mean, the size of a fly, no?
The shit. What is the specific name on your character sheet for the drone?
MCT flies by mini drone.
That's the multiple one,
Yes, times 25.
and that one's a micro or a mini.
Mini.
Okay, fly spy.
Oh wow, wait a minute. So this is probably about the size of a thumb.
It's the size of a grasshopper.
Yeah. So
It's about the size of a thumb. A little, about 2/3.
so the thing is, you've got 25 of them. That's
Yeah.
going to take a while for, if you're sending all of them, for getting them all into a hiding place. So
If they can only work 6 hours at a time and it
Yeah.
takes time to recharge, you probably shouldn't distribute all 25.
no. Well, it's a thing of don't distribute all 25. Probably about 6.
okay, and you're
just-
doing this without permission, or are you getting permission?
I guess I'd probably get permission from. I guess both Max and Lawrence.
Okay.
Yeah, Lawrence doesn't
so-
look like he makes decisions on his own.
Yes. So Max, will you accept the request to have some drones patrolling your personal abode?
What? Well, Mac would probably ask, what is their function? Like,
Just extra visual security. I'm probably going to be a little bit out of it, so it helps to have some eyes to make it so that I can be like aware if someone's coming up to kick me or something. In VR.
no, that seems a little bit risque for...
At this point, Wolf will pop out of VR and say, excuse me, I will have to say that those will not be acceptable, sir, that we cannot risk having surveillance devices as long as you have files that are confidential property of the City of London.
Okay.
I know
Well,
that. I was just about to get to that.
Would you be okay with him putting them outside to patrol the to patrol the perimeter of the building?
Looking at Wolf, is that a problem?
As long as they're not spying into this office, sir, I don't believe that would be an issue.
Out of character, maybe say they're not allowed. Maybe you won't put or let the drones go into the office.
Alternatively, I let you check the files before I leave. But either way, it doesn't matter. You said no, it says no. That's fine.
All right, so he'll have them outside, and that will be fine. Certainly, I mean, basically, if they're outside the penthouse, you can still watch the elevator with these, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, just keep them in the
ways and
hallway
out.
outside. Yeah.
And whiskey, question?
Yes, would it be, could we maybe have a copy of your agenda, especially regarding public appearances and such, for the next few days at least?
The public agenda.
Yes,
says
the
Wolf.
public agenda.
Yes, I don't see any problem with that. We had actually... the very first thing Max had told me, though, was to cancel most of all of the public agenda until this was resolved. Sir, unless you'd like me to put everything back on your schedule again.
Well, the thing is, though, most, not all of them, just the ones that you would still be going to.
And even the ones that you did cancel, our target may not know that you have cancelled them. So maybe there's we can find out something about their plans from that.
I do believe I have a work to do, so
Out of character, Max can work from home except for mandatory meetings that are council meetings. However, you get you're allowed to be absent to a few of those each year, and Max has only used up one of his off days. So technically, he could be shut up inside his penthouse for the next week without issue.
Yeah, but it's his call and his security's call, and that we'll just do what we can to support.
And like I said, Frosty, for describing his he is extremely terrified at the prospect. So it would be in character for him to say, "No, I want to stay in my penthouse where I know I'm safe." But you're calling the shots right now, so your call.
well, I think at the point, yeah, staying home, good idea.
Still, if we could like have a copy of what you would want to, what you are planning to do, as I said, maybe if maybe the target will show up at one of these events, even though you cancelled it, and then we can track them down from there.
Yes, Wolf explains, except that by the nature of his profession, we have to announce that he's canceled those, else he will be very unprofessional to say that he's going to be arriving at the South Area Mall, for example, and then not show up. That would look very bad to his constituents.
Of
So
course.
we publicly say he is canceled.
Well, yeah, but maybe the target wasn't listening. It's just a, well, it is a possible lead that we could have.
Yes, no, certainly. You can access all of the public appearances from our website. Or
All right, excellent. Whiskey would probably quickly download those before, the cancel announcements goes out, as it were.
You'll see that the cancel announcements had already gone out, but there's still... Basically, it's like, he will not be at this location at this time. Well, okay, that location, that time, that's been canceled. You now know what that location and time was.
Okay, good.
All right, I guess that's it. We'll take my vehicle since, Prodigy and Grim are staying here. Go see what we can do.
Yeah, and once out of
And not that
earshot,
kind of do.
once they're in West St. Mike's cart, the Whiskey would be like, why would they leave a death threat note if this is a shadow, if this is a runner contract? That makes no sense.
I've
So
seen some runners psych enough to do that, but it does raise some suspicions.
We're back in the cars right now, right? Outside of Grim?
You guys can have a private conversation with text messages as well, or, VR or whatever, so
As
by all
we're leaving?
means.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So you guys can just, as players, you can say this out loud, but we'll say it's a private conversation between the characters.
Okay. I was going to speak up. Out of curiosity, who here thinks this might just be an inside job of Lawrence or Wolf trying to get rid of the other?
I think it might be an inside job. I'm not so sure on the motive. In particular, I really would like to talk Mr. Davy. Something seemed off. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that maybe it was Alistair kind of doing a weird way of warning with this person. But no, I asked him and he didn't seem to know anything about this, so...
Hey,
Sorry, just one more thing. Kara, I know you were saying you were having some trouble as getting into Grim's head tonight, so I'll say you would have thought of this. If anyone gives the note to Grim, she could potentially bring it to the police force to get it professionally examined. However, that would require her pulling some strings, maybe calling in some favors, or creating some favors. Um,
It-
just something to be
if I-
aware of.
If I recall correctly, you took a picture with your cyber eye and sent each of us a copy, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's different than actually having physically the paper in hand to do chemical analysis, fingerprinting,
Oh,
depth
outside
and
of
pressure.
handwriting, yeah.
Well, no, not only that, the depth and pressure of handwriting is the big thing when they do handwriting analysis. Just looking at a photo of a writing isn't enough to tell necessarily who did it. But if you can see how much pressure they put down on certain loops and spirals, that's how they ID someone with their signature.
So leave that up to Graham and stuff, but you know. I was about to ask, Prodigy, you think you can get access to the, any possible security cameras in the elevator, the, emergency staircase, or the hallway that leads up to the penthouse? See who may have gone in and out last night while these guys were sleeping and left a note?
Can we have, before I try, should Lawrence, Max, or Wolf try? You know, like a straightforward route?
Prodigy raises an excellent point. Maybe they should, apply for this officially. Alternatively, maybe if they do apply officially, that will tip off whoever did it, and they'll be able to erase their tracks.
If they haven't already, but it's just...
Fair.
I personally kind of think the note is some form of red herring or distraction, honestly. It seems too obvious, too simple,
That's
Well,
why
somebody there, so
especially for a contract killing.
this is why I kind of think maybe it's an inside job, that it's one of the two guards in there trying to get rid of the other, because they definitely do not like each other. There's some bad blood there.
well, that seems it's an angle to follow up, and I don't know if that's I definitely think somebody inside planted the note, but it's also entirely possible that somebody who simply bribed them to put the note there.
That's
This
true as
doesn't
well.
necessarily require a Machiavellian plot.
No.
Here's
Ex-
500
especially with
Nuyen,
that-
put this note.
Especially with that Lawrence guy there. Wolf, I'm not so sure on, but Lawrence, I think, could be turned rather easily for whatever reason.
Grim sends the text, "What's the end game? What benefit would come of this note? Would canceling his events be meaningful? Why? Who benefits from that?"
When's the nearest election for his district?
I think out of character, we just had elections at the federal level. So I think it'll be the next year will be his level of election.
No. We looked up. It's actually coming up in like a month or so because
Right, you're right.
The,
It is an
the federal
upcoming
elections vary.
Yes.
They actually
Oh,
set them.
so who's running against him then? Maybe some way to ruin his appearances, which makes it so if he's not appearing, he's not out there campaigning.
That's a very good point. I'm going to have to make up a bunch of competitors to... That's one of the things I didn't think of in this whole... So, hint, hint, by the way, it's not any of the opposing politicians, because I didn't even think of that angle. But it's a good angle that you're thinking about, so I will put that in for next session.
Well, who knows?
we
You
did
could
not-
you could maybe change what you have planned. We never know.
Yeah. Or whoever doing this could be using one of those people as a cover, as so that they're the ones doing where they're just being used as a patsy or a scapegoat or a herring.
Also, Grim says, is his position shaky? Did he need these meetings? Would someone really benefit that much from these appearances?
That's stuff we gotta see exactly, because
Well, we've got a list of where he was going. Do any of these appearances seem particularly high profile, or is it all pretty much standard meet and greet stuff?
It would be, some of it is, yeah, you're right. This would be campaigning time. So, I'll say this. He seemed really confident to be a shoo-in this year because the previous time he was doing fairly well. This time his opponents just don't seem to have any leverage to really beat him. He's been incumbent for so long that the people just inherently trust him. He hasn't harmed anyone's trust in him. So yeah,
So he seems
actually,
pretty safe that direction.
he seems pretty safe. So the fact that he's not appearing at all could hinder him, but still, it would take more than just him not showing up to really kill it. Especially since he's got a whole team working for him, you know, answering calls, going door to door. He's got the money that it's not really an issue for him.
And he can probably even use the threat on his life as a campaign thing.
No, that might backfire. He wouldn't be that bold to try that. However,
And another way... Go ahead.
however, I just want to say, if he were dead, then yeah, if someone else would get in, no problem, because you can't have a dead aldersman.
And honestly, canceling his appearances will do that. More effective method would probably send people to disrupt his public appearances.
Exactly, yeah. If you wanted to actually undermine him, you would send protesters or counter-argument speech to his public appearance. So, yeah, actually, I think I'm going to have to utilize that. Let me just write a note here. Mwahahaha. Public appearance. Mwahahaha.
Which
I hope I
also
remember
raises-
what that means. If
Yeah.
if we don't have another the session next week, I hope I actually remember.
But
Well, this also, yeah, again, this raises the thing though where, honestly, he's terrified. While he may be 100% sure of his thing, a politician would still try to do those public appearances to make sure he's out there for his campaign. If not, even just if he's just going out there for campaign funds. Got those high grants and stuff like that to go to.
Okay, look, can I just cut in here? All of this is speculation. What we need here is some hard evidence.
Yeah.
Otherwise, as far as we know, it could be anybody in London, and London's a city.
we could also we know that there's a Shadowrun contract out there. I figure we could also, maybe find out something in the Shadowrun community.
That's more likely to yield results than actually just sitting here guessing about who it might be. There are a lot of possibilities. We need some leads to start narrowing it down. There
And
are
also,
just
we
possible
don't even
motives and
really...
possible people.
Yeah, and we don't really even need the person who set out the hit. We need the person who are going to do the hit, and then make it clear that they should not be doing the hit. Then later we can find out who did the hit.
Well, the key thing here is then who put out the contract. That means we gotta figure out who Johnson is and see what possible connections that Johnson might have.
Okay, so I'd like to question Davey a little bit, but I'm also looking at the time, and I know I'm not in the most easterly time zone. Is everybody okay with going for at least a little while longer?
Well, actually, I was just going to ask if there's any group things we wanted to do, because I've got work tomorrow, so
I can hold off anything I'd ask Davey until next session. That's no problem.
yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
if anyone wants to do one-off stuff, email me, and we can sort of hash it out by email, so that when we get to the group time, we're not, doing one-on-one things while everyone else is just sitting there waiting. So just like if any of you have questions or you want to do something like Sybil or Prodigy, you're both hackers. So if either of you want to pursue a certain thing that's not going to affect anybody else, send me an email and I'll bounce back if I've got the time during the week, and we'll figure it out and make it go a bit quicker for you. Frosty, we really got to try and find some time to sit down and get your actual character set up.
Yeah.
Sorry again that...
Well, I'm sorry, I haven't been online that much with you as well.
Oh, neither have I. I was only online 2 days ago for the first time in a month and a half. So...
And that time was to just quickly say, hey, I got time on Monday.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
And we are very glad to have you back, VT.
Thank you. Yeah, I should be able to keep this desk set up here for a while yet. And I do know my parents are going on a holiday either this month or next for a week or two. So there's that to look forward to.
Okay, good. Then maybe we can also possibly discuss the other campaign. But can I assume we will pause here?
Yeah.
Well, like I
The
said,
only
unless,
thing
unless there's a group thing anyone wants to do. Any suggestions for a group activity?
Not really. All I got is some shopping to do. That's about it.
The only thing Sybil could possibly think of is trying to reconcile with Pirate.
Okay.
Ooh,
so I
drama.
I think we had a really good session. So just as a quick review, Whiskey notified you all about a job. She let slip that Alistair was the name of the Johnson. Prodigy and Sybil did a search, figured out who Alistair was. Whiskey got upset when she found out that her contact was revealed. You went to the location of the Johnson. Lawrence Archibald Haversmith was the security guard in charge of Max Parson, who basically had contacted you saying, we found out that, there's been a threat against my boss's life. We need additional security because Lawrence can't do it on his own. However, as soon as you arrived, Max was yelling at Lawrence because apparently there was a death threat on Max's desk in the morning, and Lawrence should have been able to prevent that from happening. And Lawrence said, well, hold on, boss. I've called in specialists to handle this. You met Wolf Davy, who was unimpressed with this whole situation and very suspicious, and was trying to get you out of the building. But not only was he suspicious of you, he seemed suspicious to you because, it obviously something is not right up in this penthouse. You found out who Max Parsons, coming up for a re-election, but he seems like a pretty solid shoo-in as it is, like 70% or more on the popular vote sort of thing. Any other major events that happened during this session that I'm forgetting?
I think that's pretty much it. We learned about the security layout. We saw the note.
Now we're just at the point of we just gotta investigate all the possible ideas we have and see where those take us and what we can get.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
well, the weird thing about the note was that we were kind of informed, or at least that Alistair kind of got it from a Shadowrun contract rather than a note, which apparently was just found right before we arrived, which is kind of strange and suspicious.
Yes, correct. So
Which is either pre-set up or just mere circumstance.
there is one group thing I'd like to do just before we end. Lawrence will notify Grim, so I hope Grim will notify the rest of you, that basically when he gets her aside privately, he will express appreciation for showing up when you did, because he totally missed that note with his initial sweep in the morning, and he doesn't know how it got there. So, your timing couldn't have been better for when you showed up.
I'm just sorry. Is that being expressed to everyone else? Okay, she is passing on.
So, yeah.
Prodigy would not ask them to check the cameras. He's going to check it himself.
Okay, so he's going to try and hack into the system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if this is a political play by Max to make himself look better in the eyes of Lawrence, to kick Wolf out of the security game on this specific job, that'd be the way to do it. And they need to set up Wolf as the follow man for the job. We take out Wolf. Max is left alone with Lawrence, and he basically has free reign.
It's a thought.
That's Prodigy's current.
Yeah, like I
potential.
said,
But basically what just happened is Lawrence just admitted to being a fuck up, that
Yes.
he did not do his job, and somehow the note arrived in the office, and he thought he was this close to getting fired, but you guys came and you saved his bacon.
Or he could be doing this just to lessen the suspicion on himself.
Exactly. What
Problem is, do we believe Lawrence is that smart?
Well, Grim, do a judge intentions roll. And you can add your con skill rating as a bonus to this judge intention. Grim, you get the impression that Lawrence couldn't lie his way out of a paper bag.
Okay, so he is not that smart.
Well, again, there are a whole bunch of possible convolutions. This is politics. We need to start doing some investigating before we can. Otherwise, we're just endlessly speculating.
Yeah, can we, would there be some time that we say some time has passed when the next session happens?
If everyone gets in touch with me during the week of the things they want to do on a one-on-one basis, then yeah, by the time we get back to the next session, we can do a time skip.
Yeah, because it's kind of determines like, alright, what would my character be able to do in the one-on-one basis?
Well, Whiskey, you're the point man for Alistair, so there's that for you.
Yeah, and I also, well, what I'm also thinking, like, Whiskey has a fair bit of gang and underworld knowledge and stuff. She might want to go
Put some
down
feelers
into...
out on her own. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe ask around in criminal circles, see if she can track something up. Either hitman who might have suddenly taken some kind of job, or yeah, whatever she can find.
That might also be a good way to get Frosty's character involved. So yes, we'll see if we can't finish Frosty and get that involved. Okay.
Okie doke.
So anything else anybody wants to bring up, or shall we shut her down for the night?
I think that's it.
Well, thank you all, and again, I apologize for how long it's been, and I do hope that tonight's session was enjoyable for everyone.
It
Very
was,
much. Very glad to be back.
Indubitably.